140% increase in the last 5 years. That's right, 140%. It is no wonder so many of you in the Thriving Urology Practice Facebook group have incessantly complained about the price gouging that has been happening. If you think I'm talking about the current economic inflation situation, you would be mistaken. I'm talking about the price increase from 2019 until 2024 on Laborie's air charge catheters for urodynamic studies. Just as elections have consequences, so do your choice of urology vendors. Picking the right one can mean thriving versus barely scraping by in your practice. In this video, we'll be discussing an alternative and probably a better choice for your urodynamic equipment and consumables. I am John Lin, your humble host of the Thriving Urology Practice Facebook group, where we crowdsource practice management solutions for everyone's benefit, and it is all for free. I consider myself a modern-day Robin Hood. You see, I take from the information rich and give it to the time-constrained poor, people like you. We are going to cover a lot of information today, so please, as always, ask any questions you may have during this live stream, and also if you're watching this on the replay. I am super pumped today to have Brian Hersh, Chief Commercial Officer and co-founder of Gemini Medtech, with me today. We will be busting myths and misinformation and sharing why you should definitely consider Gemini Medtech for not just your urodynamic consumables, but also their other offerings. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Dr. Lin. It's a pleasure to be here.
By the way, call me John. It's
John,
okay.
great to see you. Thank you.
Okay, last time I interviewed you and Dr. Babin about a year ago, we talked about your Atmos air charge catheters specifically. Some people have had some concerns regarding these catheters. And there's been some misinformation out there regarding these catheters. For instance, some people have said, I don't know, not naming any names, saying that you can't use the Atmos because of, number one, incompatibility. Number two, it may void warranty on that particular urodynamics equipment. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, once again, thank you for having us. You know, when we designed Atmos catheters, we wanted them to be backwards compatible with all the existing equipment out there that use legacy, we'll just call them our competitor air charge catheters. And it's important to note that one of our co-founders, and who's our CEO, was the co-founder of that other company. When they built the catheter starting 20 years ago, and before they were bought by our competitor, we'll just call them Laborie, the Laborie catheter was actually the TDOC catheter, and that was an agnostic catheter that at one point in time globally worked on somewhere between 12 and 15 different types of urodynamic systems. So one of the myths is that Laborie built their equipment and their catheters to work together. That is absolutely not true. They purchased the TDOC company from our co-founder many years ago. So just like the TDOC catheter was made to be agnostic, we built the Atmos air charge catheters to be agnostic and work on any air charge system that's out there. They use the traditional Luer lock, I should say.
Luer lock, sure. Now, of course, anyone who does urodynamics knows that air charge is the way to go. You don't have to do the crazy calibrations and stuff like that. Compatibility-wise, Atmos is, you can just plug and play. Is that right?
Yes. So one of the hardest things was to make a better quality catheter, a more comfortable catheter with different dimensions as far as the way it measured the air, but make it fully compatible with existing equipment. Therefore, no recalibration needed. Not that we want people to continue to use our competitor catheters, but they use 2 catheters for every study, and the catheter SKUs are used up at a different rate. So many customers, when they're onboarding to Gemini, will still have some of one of the competitor SKUs left over. I bring this to your attention because literally they will use for the same study one of our catheters and one of the competitors' catheters on the same piece of equipment in the same patient to get a good quality study. And when they finish using up that second SKU, then they use only our catheters from that point forward.
It sounds like what you're saying is for that same study, same patient, same equipment, you can use 2 different types of air charge catheters with no degradation in the quality of the study.
and no recalibration needed. That was one of the hardest things we needed to do. Make sure someone could try our catheters and not have to calibrate their equipment to our catheter and then recalibrate back.
So tell me about this concern about voiding warranties by using your catheter.
Yeah, so when we came to market, our competitor decided to start putting threats to the customers that it could void their warranty. And I think you may have seen that they do have ways that, well, we'll get onto the barcode scanner later. But so we checked with the Federal Trade Commission, and it is illegal to void a warranty for using a competitor's compatible products. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's not physically possible for our catheters to hurt existing Laborie equipment because it uses the same luer lock, the same O-ring in there, same dimensions, etc. Same thing with the pump tubing. It's the same silicone, same dimensions. So it's physically impossible. It's not electrical or mechanical. And finally, which is always the aha moment we have when we talk to customers, I ask them, do you even have a warranty on your Laborie equipment? And most of them say, you're right, our equipment's 8 years old, it's 6 years old, it's 4 years old. It only comes with a 1-year warranty, and I never bought an extended warranty. So the whole warranty thing becomes a moot point right away. But I like to start with the law. I like to talk about physically that it cannot damage the equipment. And then I like to talk about, do you even have a warranty that you should be concerned about?
Yeah, and thank you for the segue, because that's it. Oh, when I heard about this, the folks in the Thriving Urology Practice Facebook group talking about this barcode thing, they were warning each other about this barcode scanner that certain companies or some company is trying to install on their existing urodynamics equipment, which in essence locks you in to only being able to use their equipment, their disposables. And with a 140% price increase in 5 years, that is just it. I can't. I mean, that is just nauseous. It's just disgusting to me.
Yeah, when you look at the price of our consumables compared to their consumables, and you look at the cost of the whole study, so the 2 catheters, the electrodes, and the pump tubing, for most customers, we're saving them about just under 50%. We're saving them about $85 per study. That's real money. And as far as the barcode scanners go, they put those on there so that the customer has to scan both catheters and the tubing. Now, it's causing major concerns throughout the industry because not only is it locking potential customers for Gemini, and let's face it, there could be a competitor in the future that comes along after us into their high-priced consumables over there at Laborie. But at the same time, it is causing problems during a study because if it doesn't scan properly, if they have a bad catheter, they only have a certain number of free passes. And I hear story after story about how they have a patient on the table and they actually have to call Laborie and try to get the machine unlocked because the software will not unlock until they get the 3 scans in there. So that's what's currently happening. Now, Laborie is saying they can't take the scanners off and they won't change the software, but we can talk about that when you're ready because that's not the true story either.
So you're saying that even after the scanner has been installed, you're not locked in?
So I have specifically met with organizations that have had the scanner taken off, and it's super easy to do if they put enough pressure on Laborie. Laborie will say it can't be done. They'll send a sales rep out there and try to get them to match our price after they've already risen the price for the customer all these years. At the end of the day, it's simply remoting in by the service department, and they do whatever they do to the code, uncheck a few boxes or whatever it is, and it's very quick, and they turn the software lockout off, let's just call it. They'll say they won't do it, but they do. They can do it if enough pressure is put on. Yeah. Just last week, I was meeting with another large group, and the clinical person said that she had called Laborie on their equipment and asked for it to be taken off. And their words were, we can't do that, but if management calls, we can do it. So that was just a story that happened last week when I was meeting with a large group.
So here's my thinking. If you can retroactively install the barcode scanner and turn it on, there's no reason that it can't be turned off. That is total BS. That's just, anyway, it's just so disgusting what they're doing. Now you said, gosh, what were we talking about? The barcode scanning. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I said let's move on.
Yeah. The barcode scanner is a non-issue. If you want it removed, you can. There's no reason for you to be locked into a particular vendor. And then that monopolistic type of a tactic is just disgusting to me. That's the best word that I can come up with. It's just so wrong, especially when we are all being squeezed as urology practices to try to stay profitable. I mean, CMS is decreasing, proposed in 2025, decreasing physician payment by another 2.93%. Over the last 20 years, if you take into account inflation, we have been getting a decrease in reimbursement. How is this sustainable? And then you have a company that is literally price gouging, which is, again, totally disgusting. What were you going to say?
I will say that although it is possible to get the barcode scanner off, and I know groups who have had it successfully done on multiple pieces of equipment, and I've seen a letter from Laborie, a 3-page letter that has their own revision control documentation number on it. I was given it from a customer that got it from Laborie, that they will make it very difficult and they will give you a hard time. But it can be done, and enough pressure has to be put on, maybe threatening not to use their other products or some other tactic. But I can't really go down that road. But yeah, it can be done. They just fight you on it.
Bottom line is, you and the practices doing urodynamics, stick to your guns, have those things removed. I think competition is good. Bottom line, competition is good. I love capitalism, and having Gemini Medtech, Laborie competing for better pricing for you, the consumer, I think that's always a good thing. Now, speaking of pricing and stuff like that, what about some practices have some sort of a bundle with Laborie? How do you overcome that?
Yeah, so the bundle is, there's a few products that we don't sell. So first of all, we sell the consumables. We now have a full line of equipment, from urodynamics to uroflows to freestanding bladder scanners, as well as amazing procedure tables, revolutionary procedure tables. So for the most part, we can offer a product for most of the Laborie catalog that's in the urodynamics space. However, there are other companies out there. So, for example, if you're using the Ingitac needle, it's a great product. If Laborie is going to threaten to raise your price, they're not a real partner just because you're not using some of their other consumables. So we like to talk about partnership, and we try to win customers through doing the right thing and partnering with them, not through threatening them that if they don't use all of our products, that will raise their price on every one that they're not going to use, or that will punish them. And that's what's been happening out there. There's punishment going on if people try to break the bundle.
It sounds like, just talking about the Atmos catheters, from what I've read, improve patient comfort, seamless transition without retraining or calibration, and improve practice bottom line. And why did it require Gemini coming into the market for Laborie to offer discounted pricing? I guess that's why competition is good. Interestingly, I was at the AUA in San Antonio, 3 months ago. I asked a Laborie higher up about the price gouging that's going on. He offered no response. Anyway, that's just my personal interaction with the guy. All right. Talk about, if I'm still hesitant about getting the Atmos catheter, how can you make me a little bit more comfortable? Is there a way that I can try some, or how does that work?
Yeah, so what we do sampling, but what we've learned is sampling is really not an efficient way for a practice to switch. And I'll tell you why. It's not that we don't want to give out the samples, we will. It's that the person that has to make the decision to switch to Atmos doesn't get the feedback loop back from the urodynamicist who uses the catheters, right? So
I agree.
They're going to say they work fine, but they're never going to get that feedback loop, and then it takes months to go by.
Yep.
So what we decided to do was do something called a buy-try program. That means buy our catheters, buy the pump tubing, buy consumables for up to 30 patients, try it on 5 patients. If you don't like it, we'll refund everything. We'll send you a prepaid shipping label, and we'll take everything back. If you don't hear from your staff, it means they liked it. No news is good news, and then continue ordering. So you're already in the ordering process that way, as opposed to waiting for a feedback loop that may never happen. We learned that the hard way. Months and months went by when we were sampling. So we will sample if that's what you want, but we prefer to do the buy-try program. We think it's more efficient for the practices and a better way to onboard with Atmos.
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable. You get a full refund and pay you pay the return shipping. Gemini is paying for it's a no-brainer. better pricing, and you pay the return shipping. Now, I'm reading in the comments, Dr. Alex said something about the locking the users to their equipment. He said must file complaints to the FTC. And he also said that lasers, now the thulium lasers that are out, they do the same thing. They require that you purchase their specific lasers, the laser fibers. So anyway, so I digress. I'm reading the comments, and again, if you all have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them down there, and I'll definitely ask those questions. Send them over to Brian. Okay, so you mentioned catheters, urodynamics machines, urodynamics tables. I know you offer other things because I interviewed you at the AUA regarding something kind of exciting, because a lot of urology practices in the Facebook group are asking about these things. Can you tell us about what else you offer?
Sure. So first of all, I think it's always good to go back to our three core values, which I always talk about in any kind of conversation or presentation, because they really do guide our business. And that is partnering with practices. We truly partner with practices. We make ourselves available for the practices. We communicate with the practices. And the next part of it is premium products. So all of our products are premium products. None of them are produced in places that may be considered questionable of quality or design. We have high quality products. And the last part is reliable and responsible pricing. And so you touched on that earlier. So whether it's our consumables or whether it's our urodynamics equipment, we're always looking at the practice's bottom line on premium equipment. So we have 4 different levels of urodynamics equipment. And what we've done is we've tried to bring it to the next level. We have completely made it a paperless workflow if a practice chooses to use that. And if you'd like to go more into that, I can explain it. But we have the full range of products. And when you look at the total cost of ownership, we're about 35% less expensive when you purchase it. We have the longest warranties in the market, and then we have the lowest cost of the consumables. So I like to equate that to when you purchase a car, you're purchasing a car, what's it going to cost to maintain it, and how much is the gas consumption going to be? So total cost of ownership using our equipment, you're getting premium products at the best price and ongoing best prices.
Yeah, that's definitely important for anyone who is looking at the bottom line, the C-suite people, for sure. Now, you have also uroflow machines, because I interviewed you at the AUA regarding this DanFlow Wave, which may be of interest to some folks, and then DanFlow CU, which outputs to a printer, which I'm not too keen on, because who wants to print to a printer? But anyway, there are some practices that still do, which is fine, perfectly okay. So as far as urodynamics machines go, I'm showing on the screen the 4 different urodynamics machines that you have: the Symphony SC, the Symphony ML, Symphony EL, and Melody, which is the least expensive system. And the fact that you guys are 35% lower cost compared to the competitor, which is amazing. Now, tell me more about this warranty thing.
Yeah, so first of all, when you look at our product lineup, we brought that Symphony EL in because our competitor did not have a really good quality cart-based system at an affordable price. So our Symphony EL, we're watching most of the customers that historically would have used what Laborie calls a Gobi move from, instead of our Melody, which is our laptop system, to the Symphony EL. People doing the urodynamic studies and for the footprint on the floor and actually being able to do a good quality study, they'd rather use a cart-based system. So our Symphony EL is an affordable cart-based system, and it comes with a 3-year bumper-to-bumper warranty. All of our warranties are the longest in the industry, and they are real warranties. The other thing is we don't take a broken piece of equipment from a customer and try to fix it and make them wait for a couple months. We actually do an advanced overnight exchange because all of our systems are modular. So if a cable breaks, if a pump breaks, if a monitor goes down, we're overnighting it the next day and having someone there to help you install it while our tech is on the phone. So that's how our warranty works. If you buy our extended warranties, they're not just discount programs like the competitor where it saves 25 or 50% based on the level of warranty you get. Ours are true extended warranties, bumper to bumper. If you buy the extended warranties, they cover the full cost of the components and ongoing service and tech support.
So you have uroflow, the disposable catheters. Now, somebody asked in the Thriving Urology Practice Facebook group about these patch electrodes. Apparently, she's having difficulties getting this patch electrodes. Do you have access to that? I mean, this is totally off topic.
Yeah, so well, first of all, we use the same exact patch electrodes as our competitor does. They're made by ConMed. They're high quality. We recommend the pre-wired ones. They're more expensive, but obviously you're not using reusable leads that are getting, you know, body, from the previous patient,
Yeah,
fluids
yeah,
and
because it
skin.
is literally on the patient.
Yes, and a part of the patient that, as you know, is on either side of the
Yeah,
rectum.
yes.
So
Okay, so you do have those patch electrodes. Good. They
we
can
have a warehouse full of those. Yeah.
they can contact you for that. Now you have the Urodynamics, the Atmos catheters. You have the uroflow. Something else that I'm actually trialing very soon is your bladder scanner, the VitaScan. Of course, I wanted to try the one without the printer. I wanted the computerized version. Tell us more
Right.
about that.
Right. So we have two versions of the Euroflows, as you talked about, and we discussed them at the AUA. You like paperless. So our whole product line, from our Urodynamics equipment to the DanFlow Wave to one of our two bladder scanners, can all be paperless. And so that gets away from the way people have been doing it for years with our competitor, which is printing it off, handwriting notes on it, taking it to a scanner, scanning it to a drive somewhere, and then using the EMR to go in and grab it from there. So if you want a paperless workflow, all of our products do have that opportunity. We have two bladder scanners, and one of the nice things about them is they do offer pre and post scan, and then a calculated voided value as well. The one you're going to try out is a Windows-based medical grade tablet style system. In our opinion, so these are final manufactured in Minnesota. They're warehoused and shipped direct from Minnesota. They can ship in 3 to 5 business days. They come with a cart, and one of the nice things about them is they compete with the top of the line systems out there. In our opinion, they compete with the top of the line Verithlons and Medlines out there. What we did was we wanted to make sure people were comfortable using our product. They're Scandinavian designed. They're sold around the world, but they come with a 5-year bumper to bumper warranty, including accidental drop coverage for the probes. And as you know, the most expensive thing to fix on a bladder scanner and the thing that breaks the most often is probes from people dropping them. So we included that right in that 5-year warranty.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you did mention about the manufacturing of the catheters. It's not from some place that you would doubt the quality and workmanship. Where are the Atmos catheters manufactured?
They're manufactured in northern Italy.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
it's like high fashion. No, it's just
Ferrari's right down the street. So
nice. Okay, I did have someone reach out to me and try to offer catheters that are made in China. So, have you heard anything about that, or?
I heard about that from one or two doctors at conventions recently, and I looked them up, and they're not registered on the FDA as far as I can see. I don't have much more information about them right now, except that they're coming in through one company and they're just reselling them, and they're made in China, is my understanding.
Well, I'm thinking it's buying something. It's similar to buying something from Temu, maybe. I don't know. When you don't really, you can't really do any sort of quality control, and if I can trust your dynamic studies done by something that is not validated, unlike the Atmos, you guys did a ton of validation. Let me go to a question. Dr. Alex asked, discuss the challenges of uroflow. We do many. Reimbursement is not great. The cost of EMR integration is high. Need to solve. So how does DanFlow work as far as getting that information into either EHR or into the server?
Right. So, and he's absolutely right. Euroflow by itself just doesn't really reimburse, and it's necessary in the diagnostic pathway before you're going to do a full urodynamic study, obviously, to do Euroflow and possibly a post-void residual. So with our DanFlow Wave style, we do offer an EMR integration. It's about $3,000, which is a lot when you're talking about a Euroflow. It's not a lot when you're talking about urodynamics. So I understand that it could be cost prohibitive there. That being said, since it's being done from one of their own laptops, theoretically, they could put it on their network and they could save the PDF to their network. And instead of scanning a printed out piece of paper to their network and then grabbing it from the file manager with their EMR, they could literally just save it to the PDF directly where the scanner would have put it in the first place. To me, that's an inexpensive way to get paperless and get it into the EMR without printing.
Interesting you mentioned that, because that's exactly how I do it. We have a different uroflow system, and it's Bluetooth. So they will scan. The patient will perform the study. The study is saved into a local computer, and then we generate a PDF, which is then saved to a folder called uroflow, and it's broken down by year and month. And for me, in my practice, I can sort that folder in reverse chronological. So I will see the most recent one first, and that's typically the patient who's in front of me. So I'll click on that, I'll see the uroflow, I can comment on the results in my EHR. So that's the way I do it. I don't have an integration. And by the way, $3,000 for integration into your EHR is dirt cheap, considering how much time, energy, aggravation you can save. So if you are inclined to do that, I think $3,000 is dirt cheap. Dr. Alex said most are doing manual scanning. It is too much work. Yeah, I don't like to print. I don't like to scan. That's like an extra step. So anything that I can do to minimize, anything I can do to be efficient, I'm going to do.
Correct. Now back to our urodynamics. What we did was we were the first ones to come up with ICS guided interpretation right in the reporting module, and we include that at no charge. So what does that mean? That means the person who does the study at the end of the study can start to fill in some blanks. We builds paragraphs for you by picking and choosing between choice keywords and bringing in the data points. The best way I can explain it is leak, did not leak, and they pick what they actually observed. And then obviously the practitioner wants to look at the charts and double check and see what they observe themselves. But in less than 2 minutes, you can do an entire urodynamics study interpretation without ever printing it, no pen to paper, have paragraphs written for each section, full interpretation, and push the HL7 button, and it will go right to the patient's chart automatically. And we've done many, many integrations this way.
Speaking of many, are you guys in any large, in LUCPAs or any big groups? How's the adoption of your technology?
So we're growing extremely rapidly, and as we become more of a household name, and as more and more people are learning about the quality of our products and how revolutionary they are, the answer to your question is from Florida to Georgia to the mid-Atlantic area, across the entire country out to Arizona, some of the largest groups in the country are using our products at this point.
That sounds great. It's kind of like implied endorsement. You have other urology practices are already using it. I tend to play it safe. If it's something really, really new, I want somebody else to try it first on their patients. But for something like this, you're not going to be able to harm patients. So it's really, the risk is minimal.
Some of the largest groups in the country are using our products across the country at this point. I can say that.
Okay, you can't name any names.
I can't talk about contracts or anything like that, but regional and national groups are using our products.
Very good. Okay, so let's talk. And now Laborie has a newer platform called the NXT. How is that when you compare it to the Gemini lineup?
So we're very familiar with the NXT. Obviously, our whole management team used to work over there at Laborie as well, so that shows that we know it pretty well. When someone is going from a legacy Laborie system to an NXT system, if they don't get a demonstration, if they don't look at it, they have to understand it's a completely different platform. People that are used to legacy Laborie equipment will much more easily be able to use Gemini equipment. The user experience is much more similar to what they're used to seeing and using. And in addition, the NXT, as another form of lockout, has a different connector on their catheters.
Ooh.
So if you get an NXT, which is why they're pushing it so hard, it's another way for them to lock you into using their high-priced consumables and not be able to use our catheters or the one that you brought up that's coming in from China.
Yeah. again, monopolistic practices. I have a strong aversion to that. I like competition. I love competition. It makes everybody better. It makes the consumer benefit. Okay, I know we talked about a lot. Catheters, uroflow, bladder scanner, urodynamics machine, and you briefly mentioned the table, which we're not even going to cover, urodynamics table that you have. Are there any special offers that you have for the members of the Thriving Urology Practice Facebook group?
Yeah, so I want to talk about our pricing real quickly as we go into that.
Yes.
As you may, I think you mentioned this at the beginning, we haven't taken a price increase since 2021 when we launched, and we're not taking another price increase in 2025. I'm saying this live on the air. We are not taking another price increase. It's our opinion that instead of increasing 3% per year or 5% per year or 40% like our competitor did in 1 year, we'd rather grow the market share and partner with the practices and not be greedy. So we also at the same time haven't raised our equipment prices, and we're not going to do that next year. We don't discount our equipment though. So everyone gets the same price. We do open face pricing on our equipment. We don't say because we love you or because of this is your special discount at the bottom. So it's important for people to understand that when we do quoting for a customer, we do it live right on the screen in front of them, and they can see what our pricing is and what every additional option is. That being said, with the growth we've been having, we decided to launch the loyalty program. And what the loyalty program does is for every single box of catheters someone buys from us, and we're just launching it right now. So I'm telling the world on your show, it hasn't even gone viral on through our own marketing department. So for every box of catheters someone buys from us, and we're going to retro it back to January 1st, they get 10 credits. Those credits can be used towards purchasing equipment. And depending on the level of the equipment, those credits have a multiplier, like a frequent flyer program. So let's say you've purchased enough catheters that you have 1,000 credits on a Melody, that would be worth $1,000 towards a discount on the Melody. So we're not making up a discount for one person over the next. This has rules and guidelines. It's a program, but it's like trading in your frequent flyer points towards a discount on your ticket. If you were to buy our highest price system, those 1,000 points have a 5-time multiplier. So you'd save $5,000. So that being said, between now, to answer your question, to launch this loyalty program, whether you're an existing Gemini customer or you're going to become a Gemini customer, between now and September, the end of September, on your next order, if you use the code word Thrive, so that we know that it came from John's show over here, then we will give you 500 loyalty credits, which in reality, towards your next purchase of equipment, at a minimum, is worth $500 towards equipment.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I wasn't expecting that. So thank you. Gosh, there's a dedicated group of urology folks in the Thriving Urology Practice Facebook group, and they're very value oriented. What else would you like to cover at the end?
We just want to thank the whole industry for gravitating towards Gemini in the way that it's done, and hope that as others continue to talk about what success they've had with Gemini, the quality of our service, the quality of our customer care, the fact that we answer the phone when you call, the fact that we give additional clinical training at installation, prior to installation and post installation. I think I want everyone to walk away with understanding that Gemini is really a different kind of company. Gemini is really a company that values its partnerships. We're here for a long time to come, and it's really our goal to be the future of the urodynamics industry. We want to take over this industry, and we want to do it in a really in a way that is comfortable for the industry and not egregious.
I really appreciate you and Gemini Medtech for providing value to urology practices. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. I appreciate you taking the time to participate in this live stream. As always, I really welcome your comments and suggestions regarding this video or any future topics that you want covered. Thank you so much for the privilege of your time. Please take care of yourself and each other. See you again soon.